That is Rat Cat.
Welcome to the Panda Podcast. I'm your host, the Panda. This project, I'm actually going to go without my partner in crime, my brother from the same mother, Rat Cat. This is a solo Dolo project. I just really want to get back to doing what I do, which is talking about college football. So this is where we're going to go with this one. If you like what we're doing, like, subscribe, comment, share with 3 people you know. We really appreciate that when you do that. Just get our name out there. Like I said, eventually one day, Rat Cat will have some t-shirts for you. When you do that, if you can prove that you got 3 people to subscribe. But yeah, as I mentioned, man, when I made this podcast, it was really intended to be about college football. Like, that's what inspired. That's my favorite sport. That's what I love the most. As you can see, I got on my favorite team, Michigan, which a funny thing is they're going to be the topic of discussion here to a degree. But yeah, let me get into what I'm talking about. Today, my Wolverines, they're going on a trip to South Africa for a week. You know, they're going to go out there, get to know the culture, experience the life out in South Africa. I think it's one of the dopest things that Jim Harbaugh has implemented at Michigan. And he's implemented some dope stuff. Like, him and our interim AD, his name is slipping my mind at the current moment. It's not Warden Manuel, the current AD. I want to say it's something Hackett, but I can't remember right now. They were behind us getting the Jordan uniforms. Jim was behind the white pants, the satellite camps. That's a lot of the stuff that Jim Harbaugh is known for. He was doing signing with the stars. He did that the first couple of years. He didn't do that this last season and the season before that. Jim Harbaugh has just been coming up with very different ways to promote the Michigan brand. And that's why, man, I just personally feel like Jim Harbaugh is one of the most, if not the most underappreciated coach in college football. I mean, I was on Twitter the other day, about a day or 2 ago, and I seen this post from some college football Twitter thing that said, if you're a Michigan fan, are you concerned about the Jim Harbaugh era or something like that? And 75% said yes. And to me, that just tells us, it tells me, it tells everyone that we haven't learned anything from over these years. Like, we haven't learned anything. Did we not learn anything from when we got rid of Lloyd Carr and he was winning 75% of his games almost? I think he actually won 75%. I think his percentage was 75.3% of his games while he was at Michigan. But just on the backside of his career, he was falling short against Ohio State. Like, that was that in the Appalachian State were like his doom. Oh, but then when we got rid of him, we ended up getting a coach in Rich Rodriguez who was 15 and 22 and had a winning percentage of 40.5%. Then another coach in Brady Hoke who was tied for 43rd in winning percentage over his time at Michigan at 31 and 20, and we were barely beating Akron and UConn and was losing to Maryland and Rutgers. Yeah, you remember when we lost to Toledo, who went 3-9 the same season we went 3-9? Yeah, you remember that? That's what Michigan is looking to go do again, because they want to get rid of Jim Harbaugh. And you know what Jim Harbaugh's fault is? He can't beat Ohio State. The Ohio State University, who Urban Meyer has won like almost 90% of his games at Ohio State. Only lost something incredible like 9 games during his tenure at Ohio State. So that means not too many teams are beating him, period. But Jim Harbaugh gets to being signaled out because he went 0-4 against them. Never mind all the other good things that Jim Harbaugh has done at Michigan, like actually making our program relevant again and not looking like fools out there where we're giving out Coca-Cola with tickets to the Minnesota game so that we can ultimately lose and put a concussed quarterback back in the game so he can throw another interception and we lose to Minnesota by 16. Never mind that. No, we want to get rid of a coach because he can't beat Ohio State. The same Ohio State that over the last 4 coaches we have hasn't beat Ohio State. I think beating Ohio State is just an issue for us. And I think the issue is Ohio State is a better program than us. And it's not hard to see. Ohio State has a lot of advantages over Michigan. I mean, they're in a better state for football. Better players come out of Ohio. They have a bigger monopoly over the state of Ohio as there's no competition, whereas Michigan has to compete for Michigan State with the little bit of talent that is in Michigan. Michigan has more rivals, such as Notre Dame, Michigan State, Minnesota. Ohio State's rival is Michigan. That's the one game they really circle. I mean, you could throw in Penn State possibly into that mix because I personally think that Ohio State and Penn State make a great rivalry. But other than that, there really is no rival for Ohio State. The school admissions, I don't know how much of a role that plays, but Michigan is one of the best academic institutions in America. That might play a little bit of a role on why Michigan isn't winning. Maybe, just a little bit. And also, just overall, an issue that's been plaguing Michigan well before Jim Harbaugh got there. Michigan hasn't done anything. And it's not Jim Harbaugh's fault. Michigan hasn't won a Big Ten title since 2005. Jim Harbaugh got here in the 2014-2015 season. That's not his fault. Michigan hasn't won a national championship since 1997. Again, Jim Harbaugh didn't get here till 2015. Again, not his fault. And a lot of people want to knock Michigan for sharing the title with Nebraska, which is completely out of their control. But nonetheless, it's still been 24 going on 25 years. Actually 23, 22 going on 23 years since the last time Michigan's won a national championship. Jim Harbaugh has only been there for 4 of those years. So that's dating all the way back to, we haven't won a national championship since Lloyd Carr's second year at Michigan. That's not Harbaugh's problem. Jim Harbaugh was dealt this hand when he got here. He was dealt a 5-17 when he got here. There's a lot that goes into Michigan's issues that predate Jim Harbaugh. But let me tell you a little bit about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, let's get into, and then I hear things like, well, he can't win the big game, and he has so many road rank losses, and he has such it's okay. Yes, Jim Harbaugh has lost 14 games. 12 of those 14 losses were to teams that finished the season ranked. 10 of those 14 losses were to teams that finished in the top 10. Those are what my man Pete Futak from College Football News would consider elite losses. I mean, going back 2015, they lost to Utah, who finished the season 17th. They lost to Michigan State, who finished the season number 6. and they lost off a botched punt. They lost to number 4 Ohio State, who finished that season number 4. 2016, they lost to Iowa on the road, which was one of their lone unranked losses. Lost at number 6 Ohio State in overtime in a game that easily could have gone the other way had there not been some questionable spotting. I'm not blaming that for the loss, but I'm saying that did play a role. And then they lost to Florida State in a New Year's Six Bowl. 2017, you lose 19 players to the NFL, 11 through drafted, 8 undrafted free agents. Your losses are Michigan State, who finished the season number 15, Penn State, 8, who finished the season 8, Wisconsin, 7, Ohio State, 5, and your worst loss of your tenure is South Carolina in the Outback Bowl that took place here in Tampa, and I was at that game. And I think that's easily the worst loss of the Jim Harbaugh era. Last year, Jim Harbaugh lost to 3 top 7 teams. On the road at Notre Dame, who finished 5th. On the road to Ohio State, who finished 3rd. And Florida, who finished 7th in a bowl game in which 4 starters didn't even play. I mean, where's the bad loss? Where's the bad loss? And you can say, well, he's only beating the teams he's supposed to beat, but he's not winning any big games, and he's losing too many big games. He's only winning games he's supposed to win. This Ohio State team that we're putting so much pressure on Jim Harbaugh to beat. You want to know the reason why they didn't make the playoffs these last 2 years? Because they lost games they were supposed to win. Ohio State lost by 31 on the road to Iowa, a team they were much better than. They lost by 29 on the road to Purdue, a team they were much better than. That kept them out the playoffs. So you can take for granted Jim Harbaugh wins you every game he's supposed to win. He just has to win against these elite games, which a lot of teams lose elite games. But even with all that said, this whole notion that Jim Harbaugh has never won big games is just simply not true. Okay, let's go back to his first year when he played BYU, who was ranked number 22 at the time, and he beat them 31-0, and everybody was stunned at what he did. This was his first year. Then, two weeks later, they beat Northwestern, who was ranked number 13 at the time, 38-0, and the game was over after the opening kickoff when J.U. Chesson ran it back for a touchdown. Then they went to the bowl game and beat number 19 Florida 41-7. Those aren't big wins because I guess it's not beating Ohio State. I guess. Oh, and then let's go to 2016 where Jim Harbaugh beat number 8 Wisconsin, and game day was at that game. They beat them 14-7. That Wisconsin team finished the season 9th. By the way, last year the Northwestern team that they beat finished 23rd, and the Florida team they beat finished 25th. They beat Colorado 45-28. Colorado finished that season, the 2016 season, 17th, and they beat Penn State, who won the Big Ten East and finished the season's number 7. They beat them 49-10. But you guys are telling me that Jim Harbaugh is not winning big games. I'm seeing big wins in big games right here, right in front of me. Number 7, 2017, while both teams turned out to not be that good at the beginning of the year, Michigan played Florida. Michigan was ranked 11th. Florida was 17th. Michigan won that game 33-17. So even in the 8-5 down year, when they had a big game to start off the season, Jim Harbaugh won that game. 2018, this last year, in 3 consecutive games, College Game Day came to Michigan for the Michigan-Wisconsin game. Wisconsin was ranked number 15. Michigan beat them 38-13. Then they went on the road to heated rival Michigan State, who was ranked number 24 at the time, beat them 21-7. Then they came back home, played number 14 Penn State at the time, beat them 42-7. They finished 17. Oh, by the way, they beat division winner Northwestern, the Big Ten West winner Northwestern, 20-17 at Northwestern. Northwestern finished the season 21. So Jim Harbaugh has 7 wins over teams who are ranked at the time, beat 6 teams who finished the season ranked. They beat 5 different division winners. 2015 Florida won the SEC East. 2016 Colorado won the Pac-12 South. 2016 Wisconsin won the Big Ten West. 2016 Penn State won the Big Ten East. And in 2018 in Northwestern won the Big 12 West. So Jim Harbaugh beat 5 division winners. But he can't win big games because he hasn't won the biggest game over a program who Winsipedia ranks in the top 5 best programs in the country at number 4. And they have, to me, the second greatest coach of all time in Urban Meyer, and arguably the greatest recruiter ever in Urban Meyer coaching them. Excuse me. I'm sorry, that's really tough to do, beating Urban Meyer, especially when that's your focus. That's their focus. That's the one game they want to win outside of the national championship. If nothing else fails, they beat Michigan. The season is a success. So you're getting one of the best programs, best shots from one of the best coaches that's ever coached college football. It's a lot of pressure for Michigan to win that game. But I get it. So then but we all want to focus on Michigan being 0-4 against Ohio State. And that's pretty glaring, even though I guess we've only won like 2 games against them since like 2000. I guess that's not even a bigger concern, but okay, I think it was maybe 3 games since 2000 if we're lucky. But nobody talks about how Jim Harbaugh gets 3-1 against Penn State. Michigan was 1-4 the previous 7 years against Penn State. They're 2-2 against Michigan State. Not great, that's 500. But they were 1-6 the previous 7 years. 2-1 against Wisconsin. 1-3 the previous 4 meetings, and he's 2-1 against Florida. Those are name brand programs that Jim Harbaugh has consistently beat. But he gets no credit for them. And then the biggest argument that people like to make, well, Jim Harbaugh is getting paid all this money and he needs to make them an elite program. Why hasn't he done that? Jim Harbaugh is doing exactly what he needs to be doing. He just has one of the best programs in his way. Let's go compare some of these other great coaches that are getting paid a lot of money. First of all, before I do that, actually, I'm gonna give you some more statistics. Jim Harbaugh is 38-14 in his first 4 seasons. Let me give you some other great coaches in their first 4 seasons at their schools. Nick Saban's first year at Alabama, he's 43-11, which 5 of those wins were vacated from the first year that he was there. Oh, and in that first year, they lost to UL Monroe. Jim Harbaugh never did that. Dabo Swinney was at Clemson. His first 4 years, he was 29-19. Had a 6-7 year in which they lost to South Florida in a bowl game, and his ass was on the way out until Chad Morris bailed his ass out by installing a much better offense. Oh, and they lost a bowl game in his 4th year, 70-14 or something like that to West Virginia. Oh yeah, that's real great. But look at where Dabo Swinney is now, because Clemson gave him time and let him work. Jimbo Fisher, one of the 45-10 at Florida State. No complaints there. That guy is great. Mark D'Antonio, 33-19 in his first 4 seasons at Michigan State. One of the better coaches in college football because he got time to build Michigan State into that. Chris Peterson, 37-17 in his first 4 seasons at Washington. Washington is a perennial power in the Pac-12 right now because they're giving him time. Brian Kelly, 37-15, his first 4 seasons. Gary Patterson, 32-16 at TCU, his first 4 seasons. A lot of these, you look at it, Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher are the only coaches that had a better record than Jim Harbaugh in their first 4 seasons. But let's get down to the money because I know that's what y'all want to talk about, and I'm going to let y'all in on that too. Scott, here's some of the top 10 highest paid coaches in college football. Here are some. Scott Frost, 23-15, 60% winning record, 60% winning record, 1 division title, 1 AAC championship, 1 claimed national championship. Oh, by the way, he's 0-2 versus Jim Harbaugh, outscored 107-24. Gary Patterson, 1 shared Big 12 title, 1 Big 10 title. Tom Herman, he's one of the higher paid coaches in college football. He's 17-10 at Texas, 1 Big 10 title appearance, 2 losses to Maryland. Dan Mullen, he's going to get a pass because he coached at Mississippi State, but he was 79-47, and he had a 63% winning, which is around 63%. No division titles, no conference titles. Gus Malzahn, 53-27, 2 division titles, 2 SEC championships, and a national title appearance. But he's only had 2 10-win seasons in 6 seasons. But he's had 3 5-loss seasons and a 6-loss season. So I guess it's better to just have 2 amazing anomaly seasons than to be consistently a 5 to 6-loss team. Oh, and by the way, one of those 10-win seasons they had, they lost 4 times. Real great. You guys, I hope you guys are seeing something here. Oh, Lovie Smith is one of the highest paid coaches he's making around $5 million a year. Lovie Smith is 9-27 at Illinois. The only coaches that are doing much better than here are the coaches that are doing much better than Jim Harbaugh that are getting paid around the same money Jim Harbaugh gets. David Shaw, 82-26, 5 division titles, 3 Pac-12 titles. But guess who set up his foundation at Stanford for him to be successful? Jim Harbaugh. David Shaw didn't inherit the 1-win, 2-win program that Stanford was before Jim Harbaugh turned them around. Jim Harbaugh turned that thing around. David Shaw just kept the wheel straight. Oh, and he's not doing that much anymore because they haven't had a 10-win season in a couple seasons now. Things are starting to tilt a little bit at Stanford. But David Shaw's a great coach. I'll give him that. Jimbo Fisher, Nick Saban, and Dabo Swinney are the only coaches that are getting paid the same amount or more than Jim Harbaugh. And they're getting paid more. And they're doing more. Most of the coaches that are getting paid less than Jim Harbaugh are doing less, winning-wise, than Jim Harbaugh. Sure, they might have a few division titles and a few conference championships, but none of them are winning national championships, which is good. And none of them are consistently beating elite programs like you guys all want Jim Harbaugh to do. I need some consistency here. You guys are just spewing out this stuff that the media tells you. Jim Harbaugh is not doing that bad. Then you guys throw out the stats about, he can't win on the road. He can't beat ranked teams on the road. Let me give you some more facts, oils, and sweets for you. Of the top 25 finished last year, the last AP poll of the year, the top 25 of that poll, 14 of those teams had no home losses. Meaning no one came on the road and beat these teams. The entire top 5 had no home losses. 6 out of the top 10 had no home losses. Michigan had no home losses. Oh, that's thanks to Jim Harbaugh, who, by the way, 2 of his 4 seasons at Michigan, they had no home losses because he solidified he's made coming to Michigan Stadium one of the harder things to do, harder places to go and get a win. There are only 18 teams that have gone on the road and beat a team that finished ranked. Those teams are Alabama, Kentucky, Missouri, West Virginia, Iowa State, Washington State, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan State, Oklahoma, Duke, Akron, Notre Dame, San Diego State, Fresno State, Wisconsin, Northwestern, and Michigan. Yes, Michigan was one of the 4 teams to beat Northwestern on the road, because Northwestern is weird like that, and their 5 losses were either at home or at a neutral site. 4 home losses and a neutral site loss, but yet they were undefeated on the road. So, albeit a weird road ranked win, they still did it. And even if you want to say, oh, well, Northwestern wasn't ranked at the time when they did it, Michigan State was. You don't give them any credit for that. It's not easy going on the road and winning in college football. Everybody knows that. Home field advantages was one of the biggest things in college football. It's not easy going on the road, people. It's really not. So if we're going to hold that over Jim Harbaugh's head, then we need to hold it over all coaches' head. But we're not consistent about that. And I'm going to tell you the real root of the issue. You guys just don't like Jim Harbaugh. It's plain and simple. You don't like Jim Harbaugh. You don't like that he came in and did these satellite camps and was running around with his shirt off throwing the football with high school kids. You don't like that he had a sleepover at kicker Quinn Nordin's house. You don't like that he called out SEC coaches such as Hugh Freeze and Brett Bielema and Nick Saban. You don't like that he's taking shots at media members. You don't like that he says his mind. You don't like that he picks fights with Mark D'Antonio. It's the same reason you guys are so strongly against Russell Westbrook and Josh Rosen. You don't like him. The media has convinced you not to like him. Which is fine. You don't have to like Jim Harbaugh. But putting unrealistic expectations on Jim Harbaugh isn't going to fix Michigan. And it's not going to make it any less of a dumb decision to put Jim Harbaugh on the hot seat simply because he's not beating Ohio State, one of the best programs in the country. Oh, LSU got rid of Les Miles because he couldn't beat Alabama. Has LSU beaten Alabama since? No. In fact, Ed Orgeron is 0-3 against LSU against Alabama since taking over LSU. He's been shut out 2 of the 3 times he's faced Alabama. So they went from not beating Alabama to not scoring on Alabama. Great decision there. Oh, and I guess Will Muschamp should be just let go because he can't beat Clemson. Never mind, he's somewhat bringing South Carolina back to a level of respectability. But Will Muschamp, he should go. He's not beating South Carolina. That's a big rivalry. We might not see it like we see Ohio State, Michigan, but Clemson, South Carolina is a pretty big rivalry. I mean, why stop there? I mean, James Franklin, yeah, he beat Ohio State 1 time. Overall, he's 1-3, 1-4 against Ohio State. Mark D'Antonio, yeah, he used to beat Ohio State. But over the Jim Harbaugh tenure, he's 1-3 against Ohio State. There's a lot of teams in the Big Ten in the country that aren't beating Ohio State. You know what coach is having good success against Ohio State? Dabo Swinney. He's 2-0. He's also notched 2 wins over Nick Saban, too. You want to know why? Because he's one of the best coaches in college football. Is Jim Harbaugh one of the best coaches in college football? No, he's not. I can admit that. But does he need to go? Or is he some overrated bum like you guys make him out to be? You're ridiculous. And anyone who thinks that Jim Harbaugh is overrated or is a concern or isn't getting the job done at Michigan is insane. So you'd rather that he go out and lose to Purdue and Iowa and some run-of-the-mill Big Ten team just so he can get 1 win over Ohio State? That's not going to fix anything. The guy is consistently putting Michigan in a position to be successful. Despite the Big Ten being the best it may have ever been, especially at the top. The Big Ten is so loaded at the top. The Big Ten is ridiculous. It's consistently in the running for being one of the best conferences in college football these days. This isn't the Big Ten that Brady Hoke and Rich Rod inherited, where Ohio State was pretty much running the conference. And most of the conference teams in the conference were scrubs. The Big Ten is legit now. And it's because Jim Harbaugh helped raise the profile for it. So, tell me what you think. Do you still think after listening to what I said that Jim Harbaugh is overrated or is he or do you see it my way now and you see him being a little underappreciated? Like, comment, subscribe, check out my posts. I'm going to post this on Facebook and on, why am I drawing a blank now? YouTube. Follow the Panda Podcast on Facebook. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And shout out to the vibes at the Panda Hookah Lounge with no hookah. Our lo-fi station is, I believe it's Chilled Cow. Yeah, Chilled Cow is our station today, providing the vibes. I love and appreciate you guys' support. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope to see you. Hope you guys tune in next time. See ya.